Hi, I'm David Lee. Welcome again to my kitchen and to another adventure of Culinary Capers. Glad you're here today. It wasn't long ago some friends came over for hors d'oeuvres and cocktails, and they brought some fig spread, and I love it. And frankly, half the time I don't buy it just because it's such expensive for such a small jar. So it got me thinking, could I make it myself? And so I spent a half a day on YouTube and got a bunch of cookbooks out and looked all sorts of recipes. And you can find recipes with all sorts of ingredients in it. So I've been experimenting now for 2 months, and I want to share you a simple recipe about how to make a nice fig spread for hors d'oeuvres yourselves. So here we go. My simple ingredients are basically 6 ounces of dried figs, and I first used fresh figs, but I found they're horrendously expensive compared to the dried, and every recipe I tried used dried figs anyway. 1 cup of water, 1 cup of red wine, and the first recipe I tried used port wine, but I like the taste of red wine better, and there's all sorts. You don't have to use wine. You can use more water and balance things out, but just experiment. And then I'm using 1/4 cup of sugar. And like I said, I've seen recipes with cinnamon sticks in it, with ginger, and I'd like to experiment with all that stuff, but I thought, gee, I just want to show you how to make it simply with things you're going to have in your house or easily purchased at the store. And I don't necessarily always have cinnamon sticks in my house. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is get ourselves 6 ounces of figs. Okay, and I've got this handy dandy scale here that makes life really easy for me. And you don't have to be precise with this. This is just one of those where each time I've cooked it now, it's been a little different. But I'm going to put my figs in here, 2 ounces, 4.5. Okay, so we'll get the scales out of the way here. Now, what we want to do is make sure we take the little stems off of these, because those wouldn't make the finished product very good. And so we want to cut them up in 1/2-inch pieces, or I just cut them in halves or thirds, depending on the size of them. Okay, now we have our figs done, and so I'm going to add my cup of water. And as they say, what kind of wine do you use? Any kind of wine that you like to drink. So this happens to have been left over from last night. So a cup. Now there you have it. Now I'm actually going to add a little bit here today because the recipe calls for the sugar, but I think I found the last batch was a little sweet. So I'm going to leave it out today. And like I said, you could put some zest of orange in here. You could put some orange slices in here, some cinnamon, whatever. If you have it, that's great. It'll add some flavor, but this is my little simple one I wanted to share with you. So now we'll take this over to the stove. And the guys got me up early today. You want to get it to a boil and then let it simmer for about 2 hours. And if you look in here, you can see that it's really reduced down. In fact, let me get the other pot over here. This is what we started with, and here's how it looks when it's ready to puree. You can do this in a blender, but I find the food processor works better. And I know some of you said, I don't have a food processor, so you can use a blender. Or I got to thinking, you probably have a neighbor like me who's got one who doesn't use it very often. So it's a good way to say, hey, I'll give you some fig spread if I can use your food processor. So now we're going to put the finished product into the food processor. and we'll now some of them I've gotten in the store have little chunks of figs still in them. I happen to like the texture better if it's all pureed. So and Dan, if you can see right in there how nice that looks. And if you haven't used a food processor in a while, you got to be careful with the blade because it's pretty sharp. There you have my simple fig spread. What I did for today is just show you the two cheeses it blends best with are brie and goat cheese. So this is the batch I did last week. So I'm going to serve it when you come over. How does that look to you? And more importantly, how does it taste? So there you have it. There you have it. My homemade fig spread, and we just went to a restaurant recently where they served it with a salad, and they put the salad, a slice of brie on top, and some of the fig spread, and boy, with the vinaigrette dressing, it turned out to be a nice salad. So there's a couple ways to use it, and I hope you'll enjoy it, and I hope you'll try to make it yourself. Thanks for being in my kitchen today. See you soon. Bye now.